Let's say for this effect, I hand the deck over to the spectator, and they can give it a shuffle. After they're done shuffling the deck, they can set the deck down, and either the spectator or me, the magician, we can go through and we can take out a pair of helper cards. So let's say in this case, we take out the two black aces. And if the spectator wanted to, they could shuffle this deck one more time. After they shuffle the deck, they would hand it back, and I would explain to the spectator that I'm going to start spreading through, and I want them to touch the back of any card they would like. So let's say they touch this card. So I don't want to see it, but here's your card right here. And I can explain to the spectator that we're going to leave their card sticking out right there in the deck, and they can push it in. So I would then take the aces and explain that I'm going to try to find the spectator's card. So I'm going to leave the two aces face up, and let's say we give the deck one cut. And I think I now found your card. So now if we spread through to those two aces, there should be one card in between them. And in this case, it looks like there isn't. So that means I messed up. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hand this to the spectator. I want them to just go ahead and slap this half right on top. Let's say I hand it to them and they just slap it right on top like that. They spread through and they're going to see there's one card in the middle, and it should be their selection, the ace of diamonds. That is the effect. If you would like to learn how to do this, be sure to stick around for the tutorial. So before I get into this effect, in case you're wondering about the deck I'm using, these are the blue circle back tally ho cards. If I have a deck review on these, that will be linked down below. So, before I get into this trick, one more thing I want to mention is that I actually taught a similar trick to this a while back. So I will leave that video down below in the description if you want to actually see it. It's pretty much done the same way, except there's one move I don't do that's done for this trick. So with all that out of the way, let's get into this. So you can hand the deck over to the spectator and they can shuffle it. Once you're done, you're going to want to have a pair of cards taken out. It doesn't matter what pair of cards you have. So let's say in this case, we have the two red aces this time. Or actually, let's switch out. I like the ace of spades for the tally ho. Okay, so once you have your pair of cards taken out, it can really be any pair. You're all set. So the spectator can shuffle the deck, and essentially what you're going to want to do is any move that controls a selection to the bottom of the deck, but has a card sticking out in the middle. So essentially, the spectator thinks that this card is their selection, and they push it in the middle when actually their card is on the bottom. So you can do any control you would like that actually gets a card stuck out in the middle, but their card is on the bottom. So what I did was the convincing control. I'm not going to go over it in this video, but if you would like to learn how it's done, I will leave it down below in the description. But what I will do is give you, I guess, an exposed view of what it looks like. I'm not going to go in depth teaching it, I'm just going to show you how it's actually done really quick, if that makes sense. So essentially, they're going to touch a card, and when you raise your hand, you're going to want the card, in the case this one, above the card they touch. So we know they touch this card. So this one right here they touch. you're going to take this card above it, and when you raise your hand up, you want this card already on top of it for a double, and you can pin it against the deck. So when you lower your hand, you're actually going to call that card out, and you're going to move it to the bottom, just like that. Let's see if I can do that a little better here. So let's say they have this card, you're going to have this one right on top of it pinned as a double when you raise your hand up. So they touch this one, and now it's the 8 of clubs. You bring your hand down, and all you're going to do is call that card out and move it to the bottom. So while your hand is still down, this looks like their card. Their card is actually on the bottom. That's what the convincing control essentially is. So I will leave that down below in the description, and I will also leave the call down below in the description, because you're going to be calling that card to the bottom. So with all that out of the way, let's say they touch this card. In this case, the 4 of hearts. They could even sign it, it doesn't matter. And you're going to leave it stuck out in the middle of the deck. Once I have it called to the bottom, I like to drop the deck, and I have them push the card in. And now you're not going to do any more shuffles. And normally some people will go into a shuffle now, and the reason you're not going to do that is because you want to convince them the card is still in the middle of the deck. But if you give the deck, the overhand shuffle, maybe a riffle shuffle, well, how are they going to know that the card is still in the middle of the deck? Even if you give it cuts, it can move around the deck. So that's why you're not going to cut it and shuffle it anymore after you move their card to the bottom. So hopefully that all makes sense there. So what you're going to do is you do your shuffles beforehand. You have a card, and you're going to control it to the bottom, and you're going to have it left out in the middle, and the spectator can push it in. Once it's pushed in the deck, you're all set. So you can take the 2 aces now, or wherever your helpers are. You're going to throw them on top of the deck, and you're going to do this first. So you explain that you're going to try to find their card and try to put it in between the 2 aces. So you're going to cut the deck, and then you're going to slap this half on top. Or you can put it on top. It doesn't matter. But now you're going to go through and say, let's see how well we did here. Now this first card above the 2 aces is their selection. So when you get to this first ace, you don't want to spread over, because that's going to actually show there's no card in between. So what you're going to want to do is when you get to that first ace is call that first face down card on top of it. So once again, the call will be down below. So we know we're here. So using some misdirection, I say, okay, let's see how well we did. I might separate these 2 cards, and then when I come back, I'm going to line it up for a double, pinch it, and now I can call it out. I'm going to push this first ace under, or actually above their selection, and say, okay, there's actually no card here, but let's see how well you can do. So I might actually square up this half, this top half here. So now their card is beneath it, but the ace is above it. I'm going to drop this half. I'm going to hand this other half now to the spectator. I explained I just wanted you to slap it on top. So now they're going to slap it on top. And now when you go through, there's 1 card, and that is their 10 of diamonds. Let me go over that one part one more time, because that might be a little confusing. So you control their card to the bottom. You had both aces on top of the deck, and then you cut them into the deck. You're now going to say, okay, let's see if I was able to put your card in between the 2 aces. I So then I spread, and then once I get near the 10, I just have a feeling. I start going one by one, and this is just so when you get to the 10, or the first ace, you will know that the first face down card on top of it is the 10, so you're not going to spread anymore. So you're going to take this top card, leave it here. I then like to separate both halves and say, okay, let's see how well you did. I push off the 10, I line up the cards as a double, and then I call it out. And I'm going to push over this first ace, meaning that the card is already beneath it. So now I can set this top half down, I can square up this half, and I can hand this to the spectator. They can slamp it on top, and now you're going to see there's one card, and that is their 10 of diamonds. So that is the effect for today. I hope you really enjoyed this. If you are new here, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And I will see you next time with a new video. Bye.